Um, right. So I don't want to muddy the water too much, but sometimes we actually want information or actions that relate to the class rather than to the objects, okay? These things relate to the mold. We want to ask how heavy is the mold rather than how heavy is the thing made by the mold. So for example, we might have information that holds true for any person. Any person has this information, has the same information. Same characteristics. And we want to be able to use that. It's associated with being a person, but it doesn't vary by person, okay? And we call these things, and this is one of the big confusions that come to people when they use Java for agent-based modeling, for modeling purposes, because this term static comes up, okay? Static in a modeling context is in context of dynamic. It either changes over time or it's static. It doesn't change over time. Static here means it's associated with class. Okay, so if you see static in Java, it just means it's an attribute of the class. Okay. So. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's actually two ways we'll do that. We'll discuss this in further Java tutorials, but you could make healthcare workers one type of agent and patients another or something, and they'd each be described by actions, but that wouldn't capture the commonality between them. But there is a way so that healthcare workers are recognized as being people as well. It's just that they have extra specialized attributes beyond that. They have special characteristics, and maybe a training institution, a number of years they've worked in healthcare, a sort of subspecialty within healthcare, those sort of things. And those apply only to healthcare workers, okay? And there's ways to capture that. But static information, let me give you an example of static information, okay? If we, suppose we have a model. We have a lot of agent classes. We have persons, we have deer, we have birds, I don't know, it's a full menagerie. And suppose we want to keep track of the infectious period for each of these types of things. We could store it in main as parameters in main, but main kind of gets littered with all these parameters for each of its types of things that are in it. And it'd be kind of nicer just to have the parameter values that apply across all the people. If they have the same parameter, like, so their susceptibility to infection. If you assume that certain things are the same across people, you might as well just store those as a static piece of information associated with personhood. I'll give another example. If you have a person class and you have ethnicity defined, the ethnic categories you have, like what does 1 mean, what does 2 mean, what does 3 mean, that's shared across all persons. The meaning of that, of 1 or 2 or 3, or whether 0 means a man or a woman, that information could be stored associated with a person. And we'll see cases where that's done. So you'll see later in the week, I'll have sometimes static, these are the types of ethnicities. So it declares the ethnicities, what ethnicities apply statically. And that's for this reason. It's kind of a characteristic of the person. Similarly, state charts. This is a good example. State charts. You know those names of the states in a state chart? Susceptible, infected, recovered? Those are all static attributes of person. The ones in person are static attributes. Why are they static? Because the meaning of the term susceptible, what the value that means, is the same across all people. The state chart is the same across all people, that structure. And so the value of that is the same across the people. So that's a static attribute of a person, okay? So if we ask, hey, what's the value of susceptible? If we want in main to ask, what's the value of susceptible in a person? In other words, what's the value of that thing so we can count up the number of people who are in that state? We ask person.susceptible. We don't ask a particular person. We're not asking P or A dot susceptible. We ask person dot susceptible. Asking the class, give me the value associated with being susceptible, and it will give it to us. That is a static attribute of the class. There's only one value